Hey, Lovies, it's your girl, Naturally Your Braider, and I am back with another reacts. Today, I will be reacting to a box braid tutorial. So, I'm going to be breaking down all of her techniques. And yeah, let's just get right into it. What the heck? What is happening right now? Okay, there we go. Sorry. All right, let's get right into it, y'all. And we are going. Here we go.
Basically, most people when they do back sprays, you can see that like from the knots to the braids, it does not look right. So all I'm doing right now, I'm just showing you, comparing how when you braid, we are applying the technique that I'm going to teach you, versus when you apply the technique, you can see the difference. So we want to get.
So let's keep in mind that I'm not great at box braids. So what she just did right now is probably how my box braids look, which is quite embarrassing. But hey, let's see what we'll learn today because we love that smooth finish. And let's just see what she does.
Get your back space to look nice and even from the knot to from the beginning to the end, so that when you look at your back space, all of them look like they are twins.
Gorgeous.
Yes, basically like twins. So yeah, I'm going to show you in this tutorial how to perfect them. I'm also going to show you how to properly dip them. So how to get them to look perfect, it requires you paying attention and using.
Okay. I love box braid girlies. Listen, any type of braids I love, but them box braids, look how tight they are on her scalp. And that's one of the reasons why I chose knotless braids because I wanted tension free and lightweight. And the amount of hair that you have to use for box braids is all at the root. With knotless braids, you feed in, so it's less tension on the root. So that means less traction alopecia and less the less your chance is to losing hair. So if you see what I see, you see how tight that is on her scalp, and that can be a disaster. It can be a disaster, but it's also a protective style. So I just have my biased opinion about box braids. They're still gorgeous, but I've heard horror stories behind them.
your fingers. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Just keep on watching. So we are going to be using the regular Blue Magic grease. I like to use the Indian hemp just because of the texture. It's very thick, and the regular expression braiding hair. So this is not a beginning tutorial on how to back braid. I'm just going to teach you how to do the technique to perfect your back braids. So I assume you already know how to back braid. If you don't know how to back braid, I will be having a video of that coming soon. But so as you can see, all of the back sprays, it looks like, how a button looks like a regular button. Like you see how the knot on top looks, you know, perfect, and they all look equal. So first of all, you want to make sure that the amount of hair that you're going to braid in is equal to the braiding hair. So we are doing medium waist length, and the section of hair has to be medium. So equal parts of hair to equal braiding hair. Very important. If you make the parts too big and the braiding hair is small, it's going to look like there is not enough braids, and we don't want that. So in order to get them full, nice and full, and look good, the part of the hair has to be, if you're doing medium, it has to be medium to the braiding hair has to.
So I agree with that 100%. But also, this is why knotless braids have become such a phenomenon because box braids are really full and they can tend to be very heavy and weigh on the hair. So, as she explained, she wants to match the amount of natural hair on the client's hair to the amount of synthetic hair. And so when you're doing that, sometimes it can be a little bulky. I've heard a lot of people complain about knotless braids being boneless, being too thin, you can see too much scalp. And all while that may be true for some stylists, there are also techniques and ways where you can still make your knotless braids light and tension free, but still have a full look. So, with that being said, I will be having a braid class coming soon. And make sure you guys tune in for that because I will be explaining all of my tips and techniques on how I achieve my knotless braid styles. So, yeah, stay on the lookout for that. But, anyways, back to the video.
Be medium. If it's small, the part has to be small, the amount of hair has to be small. So now section the hair and cross it over. Make sure that one end of the hair is smaller so that when you cross it over, is going to look equal. So the three strands of hair has to look equal. Very important. So now all I'm gonna be doing is just place it over my index and middle finger. So I am right-handed, but if you're left-handed, you definitely do so on your left hand. So again, cross over the braiding hair equally. And then the fingers you need is your middle finger, your index finger, and your thumb. So you place it over the top of your middle finger and your index finger while holding it with your thumb. You see how I held it? So that's the first thing, positioning. Position the braiding hair, and then you go ahead.
So, that's how I learned how to box braid, but still to this day, my grip is just not tight. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just cannot get them box braids, child. I need to start practicing those because it's always a good technique to learn just to have.
And hold the hair with your left hand, place over the hair on top of your client's hair. Now you're going to hold one strand of it while you're going to control the knot with your middle left finger. And then you pull over your index finger like so to separate while holding it with your thumb. Don't worry, I'm gonna go in slow motion, but just pay attention. So the fingers that you need is your thumb, your middle finger, your index finger. So on the right side, you need mostly your index finger, your thumb, and on the left side, you need your index finger, your thumb, and your middle finger. So the middle finger is the one that controls the knot. Don't worry, I will show you in slow motion, but just that's how you place the knot. So the positioning is very important. I will also show you what happens when you do not the middle hair on top of your index finger while controlling it with your thumb and your middle finger on the right. And then on your left hand, you hold the hair.
So we get to know how to.
So this is the second, this is the third step actually. So after holding the braiding hair, holding the client's hair, the third step is placing it on top of the client's hair. Now you are going to take the hair that is hanging with your index and your thumb while placing your middle finger on top of the knot, like so. So that controls the knot. And then you place your index finger through and put the braiding hair on top of it while holding the bottom hair.
So, right there is where I struggle. I struggle so hard right there because it's the middle finger that has a hard time staying in place for me. So, I think that's where that tight grip comes in, is where she's saying, hold the middle finger on the braid hair because you don't want that to loosen up.
With your thumb and your index finger. And then your right hand will take control again. So hold the hair, place your index finger through. But if you're right handed, then the middle finger on the left is what you're going to use to control the knot. I will go over the steps again, but after you are done with directions, as you can see, it's not going to look smooth. We don't want that.
Wait, let's go back a little bit.
So word, it's like braiding. It's like the braids are like overlapping each other. We don't want to braid like that because by the time you start to braid, like it's overlapping each other, it's going to look like the braids are going on different directions. As you can see, it's not going to look smooth. We don't want that. So again, I'm going to show you again. So when you are box braiding, step away, do not lean forward. So what I'm doing is I am actually stepping away while my hands are just working. Okay, so I am just braiding away, not braiding towards. So I am braiding away. So it's like I just keep going, away from the braid.
Okay, so I see what she's saying. So basically, what she's saying is like, in order to prevent like a bumpy looking braid, which I think that has more to do with the braider and the technique that they use versus the gravity in which you're pulling the braid. But it does help when you kind of have a little bit of tension on the braid and you're kind of step back and you're braiding away from the braid. It does help a little bit, but I think it more so depends on the braider and the technique that they use, because some braiders, they just they don't quite know how to have a smooth looking braid yet. But that's good though.
Braid, because when you are leaning forward, you would tend to overlap the braid. So my tutorial, I'm just going to show you how to do it with just regular parts. So again, separate the hair, make sure in two sections, one of the strand is smaller and you cross it over, so you make it equal into three sections like so. Now, let's position and make the knot. Place it over your right hand index finger, hold with your left hand index and thumb. Third step, place on the client's hair, hold with your thumb and index. Now we're going to control the piece just hanging out with our thumb and index. Now the middle finger on top of the knot, like so. Index goes through and it sits right on top of the index while holding it with the thumb from the bottom. That's it. And then we just make sure that the hair is separate.
So she does it again.
I don't know what to call it.
Let's go to the.
You're just trying to grasp the hair. If you just place the braiding here like so, you do not apply step 1, step 2, step 3. You just try to put it on top. You didn't even like place the hair. You're just trying to grasp the hair at the same time. You see how this is how most people braid. You see how the knot looks like it's I don't know what to.
So yeah, I don't do that. I don't do that. But I think the main part is if you don't start that box braid out right, then it will just by default look like that, because it has to be secure and it has to be in place. Everything has to be in its perfect place for them box braids to look like that, because those look perfect.
To call it, but it doesn't. And then you see like the braids are not equally distributed. It looks funny. It's like this is not how a box braid should look. This does not look like a box braid. So this is what happens when you do not apply step 1.
And I ain't saying no names, but some of y'all listen. Some of y'all need to really figure out your price range, because listen, to each his own. Charge what you're going to charge, but make sure your clients are getting quality. And this is the whole dilemma and uproar with knotless braids and just braids in general. People are charging crazy amounts of prices for braids. And although I understand for some people, braiding is so labor intensive and it's such an art form. Like a lot of people braid like that. A lot of people braid like that and they want to charge $500. But listen, it's bumpy. The braid is not consistent. It's not neat looking. And I get why people complain about braiders' prices now because they're getting that result. So it's like, if you're going to charge what you charge, you need to make sure that you're providing results. And you need to make sure that your work is neat and you're providing an experience for your clients. Because just to charge $500 and not have anything to show for it is crazy. So, I am definitely one of those people that's like, look, charge what you're going to charge, but make sure, like, identify the why. Identify why it's important that you're charging that price. Because this braid game, I mean, stylists are getting dragged left and right now for charging what they feel they should be charged. But I just feel like make sure you have something to offer before charging that. So that's my opinion on it.
Step 2, step 3, step 4. Look nice and neat. Um, but yeah, you may definitely come up with your own method because everybody's finger is different. Like sometimes, you may braid and then your finger, the way that your motion of your finger is different. So everyone is different, but yeah, this is an easy way. Then this is the way that I teach people how to place the knot. So again, you position
Listen,
thumb and
I
index
need to try that at home because look how neat it turns out.
to properly talk, but but while I'm just talking, you know, it just goes and look even. And again, braid instead of overlapping, if that makes sense. But that's pretty much it. You braid towards the end and make sure that you twist it.
Hmm. And she's braiding to the ends. Okay, that's what I like to see. Braid all the way to the end. Okay.
The braids. So I am going to show you that in the next lesson. So I hope you got the knotting technique. I hope you got the positioning. I hope you got the placement. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. I will definitely be having more videos because I want to make sure you all got this. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Stay tuned for the next lesson. We're going to dip the ends in hot water.
And those are perfect.
And oil, can easily find out your regular beauty supply, the braid spray, the sulfur A braid spray, or whatever
Okay.
products that you normally would like to put
Listen,
on your scalp
how does she
head
do
because you
that?
don't want to burn them. So like to a like you see how I'm pouring the hot water, let's lean her head backwards as low as possible because what we want to do is we want to dip half of the braids. Normally, some people would just like dip the ends, like put it in and out just right there in the ends. But then by the time you sway the braids, it will feel stiff. So I like to dip the braids halfway. Like you see how I'm pouring the hot water, making sure I'm getting close to the top. So I'm just pouring the water. I didn't put the hot water in the bowl and then dip. I am taking the water and just working the water through the braids so that it gets to the top. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to sway the braids and
Mhm.
allow the steam to go up. So what the steam actually does is to release stiffness.
Mhm.
So like
Yep, that's right. And the thing about that technique is I think for me, I actually, instead of taking a bowl and holding it, I leave it on the floor because for one, I don't want to drop the bowl. So you have to be very careful with that because anything can happen. You can drop the bowl, you can spill it on the client. That's kind of a safety hazard. So I would keep the bowl on something to where it won't fall, specifically and mainly the floor, so that it doesn't fall. And just continue to pour the water. I think that's the best method to dip braids is to pour it because it just keeps the ends bone straight. Like you don't have the little crinkles and stuff in your braids like you normally do when you just dip it. So I like that technique, but definitely I would recommend keeping something on the floor instead of holding the bowl because that's kind of a safety hazard. You don't want to spill any hot water on your client.
towards in the middle of the braid, some of them you may not get hot water in them, but the steam while you're swaying it is going to go up and it's going to release any stiffness. So that's really how to deepen. You want to make sure that you get the heat going up, which is why I sway the braids. And I make sure that the hot water gets to like half of the braids. So you just want to use your kettle and just pour instead of dipping the hair in the bowl, if that makes sense. So all I'm doing right now is the next step is I put some hot water in a towel, and then you just want to make sure that you feel the heat on your hand before you place it on your client's head because you don't want to burn them. So you want it to be not super hot, but it feels hot enough so that way it can release any kind of tension. Of course, you don't want to braid tight, but this step is also good. I like to do it because I like to pamper my clients. So what I'm doing is just pretty much releasing any tension. So now I'm going to take you to the client that we were using initially. So yes, that's what I'm doing on her, as you can see. So even the braids, as you can see with the last person and this person, it looks the same. That's what I'm telling you. If you go through with this technique, your box braid is going to look the same. Whatever size and length you do, they're all going to look even. So
Yeah, and listen, those braids look perfect. Those braids look perfect. She did an excellent job with her braiding technique. Like, I absolutely love the technique that she used. She's perfected it. And she has literally taken it to the next level. Like, she is a professional braider. She is a high level, high skilled braider. And you can tell because her technique is so consistent. And when you get to the point where you're consistent in your technique, where all heads look the same, no matter whose head it is, that is the pinnacle of a professional. You know what I mean? You have to be consistent. So I definitely like her technique. I gave my opinion on a few things that I would change, but I think that's just the over analytical part of my brain. So that is a excellent tutorial on how to do box braids for beginners, especially because people like me that focus on knotless braids and don't really do box braids. That is an excellent tutorial. Like, I could follow that. I literally just wanted to do it myself right now. I literally was like, let me grab my mannequin head and try this because it's like she did it so perfectly. And I think that with practice, with time, it can definitely get to that point if box braiding is what you want to do. But I know knotless braids for me are better because you can put your hair in a ponytail the same day. With that, you saw how tight the braids were on the scalp. You need to wait at least a week for those. And I'm not downing box braids at all. Like, box braid girlies, knotless braid girlies, put it in the comments. Okay, which one are you? Are you a knotless braid girly? Are you a box braid girly? Because we love our traditional box braids, but then we also love our sleek knotless braids. So I want to know, which one are you? So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I will see you guys next week or whenever I post another video. Bye.